It's Veto Override Eve. I'm a little bit excited. I think it's something of a bucket list item to override one of the governor's vetoes, especially because he vetoed one of my bills early on, which, yeah, we should have overridden that one. But anyway, it is serious enough. I wanted to talk to you about what we're doing tomorrow, why we've decided to override the veto. So we'll start with Senate Bill 171, the right to intervention. And while this bill seeks to clarify an issue that's been around for a long time, and there's not been one particular issue that's the impetus for this. There was something that happened last year regarding a lawsuit that the state was engaged in over our elections law. And so at that point, it wasn't clear if the legislature had the ability to intervene on its own behalf, where its existing law and its existing processes were being decided in a court. So where the Attorney General would represent the state in any challenges, the governor's position was being represented by the Attorney General's office, but the legislature's position wasn't. And in fact, the legislature is the governmental body that writes the law, that puts forward the law. And then if there's a challenge, typically that challenge might be directed at the agency that is fulfilling the law. But we realize this year there really may be circumstances where the legislature may want to advocate for its position, for the legislature's for what the legislative intent was, and which could be different from the governor's or another agency. So what this bill does is it recognizes that the legislature really should be able to intervene on its own behalf when its laws are being challenged or its processes are being challenged. So the governor vetoed that bill, and so we're going to override that tomorrow. The governor felt that this bill kind of messes with the separation of powers issues, but we feel it's very, very in sync with separation of powers. And so we're going to likely override that tomorrow. And an override requires 2/3 of both the House and the Senate to override. And we do something of sort of a light poll to kind of see if we're there and see if it's necessary or if it makes sense to hold the veto override session. So it looks like most of us, the 2/3 in the House and the Senate, are prepared to do this tomorrow. The second bill we're seeking to override the governor's veto on is HB 198. This has to do with the Attorney General's office. One of the duties of the Attorney General's office is to give opinions to state agencies that request opinions on certain things, including the legislature. So last year there was an issue regarding our elections law and processes that the legislature asked the Attorney General for an opinion on. The Attorney General's office prepared the opinion, and at the last minute before disclosing that opinion said, yeah, we don't think we can release it to you because we also represent the governor's office. Now, because the Attorney General's office represents so many different state agencies and various clients, unlike a law firm, a private law firm, if a client or a prospective client comes in and there's an existing conflict with an existing client, then that law firm doesn't take on the new client. But the Attorney General's office, it's anticipated that they may have to represent two conflicting clients among different governmental entities, state agencies. So what the AG's office has done historically and frequently is to create sort of firewall within the office. So make sure that those two clients are represented fairly and separately, and they mitigate that conflict. And that's always happened. until it got to this case where now the AG is saying, okay, well, we have a client that's in conflict with you, so we can't represent you and give you this this opinion. Again, because that's not the history of the Attorney General's office, that is not the procedures that have clearly been in place for years and decades. Seemed like there was a little bit more at play, maybe some political issues, but definitely there was not a legal issue. So this seemed to be a somewhat arbitrary, maybe political decision that the AG's office made. So the legislature passed HB 198 to make it very clear that according to state law, the AG may give the legislature a requested opinion. This bill takes the step to make it very clear that even when there's a conflict, yes, we're entitled to that opinion. It establishes some time frames, also gives us the ability for further review. But we'll seek to override that one tomorrow as well. Both these bills dealing with some serious concerns about our elections law, where the legislature was in conflict with the governor's office. And so making those things very, very clear, so it's clear for the citizens of Utah, and we can have some better integrity in our elections law.